Welcome everyone to the podcast, Crypto Podcast with me, Coach 23, where we talk about pro wrestling, pop culture, and life in general. So, it's Thursday, Wednesday night in the States, and as I said, I promise I will try to do this with an open mind, and I did. Uh, for the first time, I've seen AEW live via Max. So, fired up my VPN. I'm a subscriber of Max and among other streaming sites. And as I said yesterday, I will try to watch AEW Dynamite with an open mind. And that's what I did. And to be fair, I'll tell my reaction, my full reaction and opinion later. But let's just go with the entire no narrative of the show. So show open up with a brawl between the Death Riders. So that's John Moxley, Claudio Castagnoli, Wheeler Yuta. Was Pac there? Yeah, Pac is there. And Marina Shafir, I believe. Yeah, she was there as well. And they brawled with Edge. I'm still calling him Edge because I know him as Edge. Or before that, as Sexton Hardcastle. I'd rather call him as Sexton Hardcastle than Edge. But yeah, Edge was there. FTR and Jay White. It's just normal brawl, and Jay White stopped Death Riders and challenged them for a tag team match next week at Grand Slam, AEW Grand Slam in Australia, Brisbane. So it will be him, Jay White, and Edge or Adam Copeland, Sexton Hardcastle. I will not call him by his name now. The name he's using, it's still weird. Against the team of uh, John Moxley and Claudio Castagnoli. So I believe it will be it's an official match next week. So there we go. Then first match of the night was Will Ospreay taking on former United Empire brethren in Mark Davis. Great match. Um I don't know if I can say it in comparison, but Mark Davis kind of remind me of Gunther, especially with those hard chops, man. Really hard. Um, Will Ospreay won. I'll tell my opinion about the show later. So yeah, Mark Davis won. Then Kenny Omega came out because he will be Will Ospreay's tag team partner, and now I believe he's one of his new best friends in the business, teaming up with Kenny Omega next week against in Grand Slam as well at Grand Slam with against Konosuke Takeshita and Kyle Fletcher. So normal promo from Kenny Omega, hyping up the match. Then we hear afterwards in another promo, Hurt Syndicate. So that's the former Hurt Business in WWE, former Beatdown Clan in TNA. So it's MVP with the AEW World Tag Team Champions, Bobby Lashley, yeah, and Shelton Benjamin. And afterwards, the returning, newly signed, I believe, newly resigned team for AEW of the Gun Club with Colton and Austin Gunn, the sons of Billy Gunn, and challenge them for a tag team championship match next week. And afterwards, a backstage promo with Renee Paquette, formerly known as Renee Young in WWE, with Adam Page about retiring Christopher Daniels. Then Max Caster approaches him, asks him, if he could do the honor of attacking or hurting Anthony Bowen since he had Acclaim broke up a couple of weeks ago, a few weeks ago. But then again, Page said he would love nothing more than to brutalize someone, and he started chasing Max Caster. So yeah, Max Caster is a heel now. Then afterwards is a tag team match of Hounds of Hell. That's Buddy Matthews, and Brody King, formerly known as House of Black, in a tag team match against the Don Callis family team of Kyle Fletcher and Konosuke Takeshita. Great brawl, great match. Then Don Callis King family won. Don Callis King. Why did they say King? Don Callis family won. Then there's another backstage segment of Samoa Joe and Hook attacking Nick Wayne and Keep Sabian of the Patriarchy. Team of Christian Cage. Christian Cage was hiding from them. He still has that uh, title shot against uh, the world champion. And yeah, they just attack them. They just attack the poor saps. And Christian Cage is like hiding with Nick Wayne's mom, and then he burst out, "Hey, what happened? Who did this?" And like, yeah, but they were there. They were like watching, and he didn't even help. So then afterwards, we hear from MJF. MJF, started chastising Jeff Jarrett about the World Championship title match or title shot at least. Then Caster came out because Hangman Page is still chasing him slowly. There's a little bit of, an eyeball tension with between MJF and Hangman Page until Hangman Page decided to still chase Max Caster. But then before MJF started trashing, the veterans and whatnot, Dustin Rhodes, current Ring of Honor Tag Team Champion with Sammy Guevara, came out and yeah, he chastised MJF saying, you don't get to trash people who had, veterans or people with former addictions or, their wives. Great promo from Dustin Rhodes and MJF, struck a nerve in saying that, you know what, you're no longer in your daddy's shadow, meaning the late great Dusty Rhodes, but you are now in the shadow of your little baby bro. And then Dustin Rhodes attacked him. They had a brawl. Security separated them along with Jerry Lynn and Christopher Daniels. MJF came back, hit him with a low blow, Dustin Rhodes, and yeah, then that's the brawl. Then afterwards, there's a match between Tony Storm impersonating Mariah May against Queen Aminata, and Tony Storm won. Then there's a segment of New York Minute with Chris Jericho, Big Bill, and Brian Keith. Power Hubs confronts the trio, and but they're three against one. Outrunners came out, help Hubs, and yeah, it's just a normal brawl. Then afterwards, there is a challenge. Dustin Rhodes challenging MJF next week. I believe that will be on Tuesday, same time as one on one again. I believe with NXT because they will be flying to Australia or Brisbane for the Grand Slam show in on Saturday next week after NBA All Star and TNT. And then the main event, Ricochet versus Swerve Strickland. Great match, great chemistry between the two. These two have fought, I believe, in all companies that they were or shows they were. Lucha Underground, CCW, NXT. I believe they have a couple of run-ins. But now I believe it's their first one-on-one match here in Dynamite or AEW. And surprisingly, Ricochet won. And after he won, he took the robe of Swerve Strickland, and then he, put it on. So yeah, that's it. That's for the show. Goodbye. I'm sorry. No, I'm just kidding. We still have a lot to talk about that. It's 8 minutes. I told the entire result. So like I said, this is the first time I've seen AEW live. Back then, I just used highlights and whatnot on YouTube because normally they post their matches, promos instantaneously after what happened, and it's even in like full highlights, not even like a 3 minute clip of the match or whatnot. And to be honest, for this show, it's a decently good show. Decently good show. Um, the aesthetic of AEW right now, as I talked yesterday about them declining attendance, declining ratings, the aesthetic that they showed earlier, right now, I believe they are booking uh 3,000 to 5,000 seaters instead of 10,000 plus seaters, which is, I believe, for them right now is appropriate. You cannot really outnumber WWE's attendance arena. you know, win streak right now. NXT for their shows weekly, they're not booking big arenas except for Chicago last year when they debuted in the CW. Then afterwards they're just booking, 3,000 seat arenas. They even book ECW arena. Uh so right now the aesthetic's fine because they can show like how energetic the audience because their audience still helps them. Uh it's just weird because last week uh Raw was in Atlanta and now AEW is in Atlanta. And the Atlanta crowd last week for WWE Raw was really really hot. I cannot say the same for AEW earlier, but the crowd was okay. The crowd was decent, and as even Taz mentioned in or Excalibur mentioned in either one of them mentioned or the announced team mentioned earlier that Atlanta is a hotbed for wrestling because WCW was at Atlanta company because of CNN, because of Warner, Turner Media at the time. So, but the thing is, the crowd was a little bit, the crowd was intimate, but they weren't really as rowdy as some AEW shows can be. But again, it's a fairly decent show. The show structure itself was good or decent, even enough. Uh, it's like a normal. If I'm going to compare it with WWE shows, it's a normal SmackDown show, just a normal, no special things. And booking wise, I guess this will work for AEW in the long run. But as I said, that one of AEW's problem is having that main attraction character. Sure, John Moxley is the world champion, but again, as I said yesterday in the What's Next episode, John Moxley is like he's still acting like he's Stone Cold circa 1996, 97, 98. You need someone that can represent your company and with sponsors and whatnot. Booking wise, there are a lot of funny stories coming out. I believe there was like a couple of news said that for the Tony Khan, AEW president, head of creative, general manager, will be. I believe the reports, according to reports, said that he will be working full time as part of AEW Creative, and that's funny. For the past few weeks or month, meaning it means to say that he's not running things, and the show weren't really good at all. If it's being run by a couple of wrestlers or the producers, nothing against Jerry Lynn, Christopher Daniels, Dustin Rhodes. I believe those are the top three producers. I believe Dean Malenko is still there or whatnot. Billy Gunn. If they're being run by that, then they're not really running things good. And those are I can say those guys are really great wrestling minds. Um, but how can Tony Khan change? If Tony Khan is the type of booker who will just say yes to anything, then Tony Khan is not. The workers of Tony Khan aren't yes men. Tony Khan is the yes man. He'll just say yes to everything. If Chris Jericho said, "Hey, let's do this. Let me be the Ring of Honor champion," sure. And according to Chris Jericho, in some reports right now or interviews, according to him, with him being Ring of Honor World Champion, streaming sites are lining up to purchase their show, Ring of Honor. No, I don't. I don't find it really plausible. Nothing against Chris Jericho. Chris Jericho used to be one of my favorite wrestlers ever. My top three Chris Jericho personas were the 2008-2009 Chris Jericho being stoic, the Anton Chigurh, 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 or No Country for Old Men Chris Jericho. He speaks slowly against like Shawn Michaels. The feud with Shawn Michaels in 2008 was brilliant. Second in line was the List of Jericho, and the third is Monday Night Jericho from WCW. I never liked Y2J. Because it's just like an extension of Monday Night Jericho. But this Jericho version of AEW I didn't like because the funny thing about Chris Jericho, I don't know how many sides that he does that that he has or he have in his mind or body because one day Chris Jericho will be praising things with WWE or anything else. The next day he'll bashing them. It's like a Tony Khan mentality of let's bash them today, let's praise them tomorrow, let's bash them the next day, and let's bash. It's weird. WWE has nothing, sure, Triple H might said a little bit of things about AEW, but not really in a sense of him trashing the AEW. Even the wrestlers, you can talk about AEW. If you want to praise them, that's fine. How many times have you heard in interviews with WWE superstars like, CM Punk will say that he still have good friends in AEW. Cody Rhodes will do the same. Seth Rollins will do the same. Kevin Owens will do the same. They're not trashing AEW while AEW keeps on trashing WWE for some reason. They're still living in this memory of them being like they're living in the late 90s that it's okay for one company to trash the other. For them, it's competition. And to be fair, if you look at WWE doesn't even they might think of them as an alternative, but they don't see them as competition per se. WWE's competition are drama shows, TV shows, NFL, NBA, NHL, you know, MLB, except for AEW because they're no just AEW cannot catch up with them. Um, so it's just weird. Uh, then Tony Khan said because last year it was a strong belief even by dirt sheet writers that AEW Grand Slam in Brisbane because they book a 60,000 seater or stadium in Brisbane, but when they initially put tickets on sale, they reached 10,000. Then afterwards, the total number is 13, and I believe there's still a couple or few hundreds more that they open to, and they just book a small, not really small. 13,000 is decent enough for an Australian show. But like I said, if I'm going to compare Australian wrestlers that are in WWE, Rhea Ripley is one of the biggest stars in wrestling today. It's understandable that if WWE books a stadium in Australia, they can sell it out. They have Grayson Waller, who's a great speaker as well, among other wrestlers there. AEW, nothing against them. They have great talents. They have Kyle Fletcher. They have Buddy Matthews, who's ironically the spouse of Rhea Ripley. Um, they had to do shows like this and keep the momentum going in order for them to be as successful in the next few weeks in terms. Uh, I think they have a chance to break the 800,000 viewership next week because the lead in for Grand Slam is the NBA All Star Saturday night, meaning slam dunk competition, 3 point shootout, the works. Um, that's their lead in for for Grand Slam. So they really need to keep a high momentum. I don't know next week because I haven't seen the ratings for NXT this week. As I said yesterday, last week Dynamite had 603 or 5 603,000 viewership and 197,000 for Collision because Collision was head to head with Royal Rumble, but NXT last week and the CW did 800 plus. They haven't even reached the level of AEW of NXT or sorry NXT and CW. So they really need to do a lot of things. Right now, the changes I've seen are good. Um, they just really need to maximize their talents and their storylines more. Well, I like Ken Omega. Ken Omega is one of my favorite wrestlers or non WWE wrestlers, along him and Josh Alexander and Zack Sabre Jr. Um, maximize those veterans, maximize those talents that they can lead the company. Um, right now, As according to them, they're booking for the sicos, meaning the AEW diehards. Look for casual fans because you're even if they say that Warner Brothers things were doing good, Warner Brothers could say that themselves. I mean, if I'm the CEO or an executive from Warner Brothers, I would go in an interview or go in with a tweet or whatever and say AEW is the best wrestling company. But none from Warner Brothers are saying that or Warner Media are saying that. It comes from AEW that hey, we have a great relationship with Warner Brothers. Remember, they signed for a 3-year contract TV deal with 1 year option, meaning to say after 3 years it's either both of them, AEW say yes, or the Warner Media say no, we're cutting you off. And with the ratings like this, it's not far fetched to think. They need to improve really. They don't even need to target or sign WWE talents who are leaving WWE because even someone from those, unless those guys' names are John Cena or Roman Reigns, I don't think they can do same. I mean, even if you they sign Seth Rollins, to be fair or to be honest with Seth Rollins, I don't think that he'll be getting the same viewership or attend or viewership with with AEW. Maybe Cody and CM Punk can do the same because they came from there, and basing on how the decline of AEW started was letting those two guys go. And now can say about viewership and all. They said, oh, they're not though they didn't have the same viewership, but as same as the Attitude Era of 6, 7, 8 million viewers a week. Yeah, there's no illegal streaming sites back then. There's no illegal downloading back then. You only have dirt sheets to rely in order for spoilers and not. So it's an unfair comparison. But if you look at the attendance, they even say that WWE even mentioned it. They cannot really make a full lie because they're a publicly traded company that their attendance streak last year was even better than the Attitude Era, and I have to agree. The Attitude Era crowds were hot, really, but I could say the same thing right now. Financially, WWE is in its best legs right now, and along with the business mindset of guys like the president of WWE, Nick Khan, chief creative officer in content officer in Polivec, Lee Fitting, they're doing great. Um, like I said, I couldn't say the same thing about AEW, and even Forbes magazine said AEW is the top three and none uh in combat sports category. UFC was one, WWE is two, AEW is three. But WWE is valued as $9 to $10 billion, and AEW is valued at two. Why? Yeah, because Tony Khan, I believe, he's a billionaire. I believe his net worth is $1 billion. And people in the internet wrestling community, yeah, he's a billionaire. He can burn money. He can spend money as long as he wants, and it will still. I don't think so. Um, I'm not sure if AEW is profitable right now. They are saying they are, but if they say that they're being paid 180 million for their TV deal, and based on the wrestling reports that their talent roster per year is worth 110 billion, then you have to pay taxes, you have to pay for trucks, you have to pay for generators, you have to pay for your backstage employees, personnel or office personnel. They might be profitable, they can use that money, but if I'm Tony Khan, I don't want to spend my own money anymore. Tony Khan needs creative minds that can help the company grow. Tony Khan needs stars that he can rely to lead his company even more. He tried doing that with MJF. MJF right now we can say that he's mainstream because he was a producer for the Iron Claw movie. He'll be doing a movie. He has a cameo or some sort with Adam Sandler's Happy Gilmore later this year or Happy Gilmore 2. But that's it. It's not enough, and they need more to do so. Edge is doing well because I believe Edge is still part of Percy Jackson, second season of Percy Jackson later this year or so, and he was nominated for like guest for a TV series for an Emmy, I believe, or Golden Globe. But they still need more. Build that homegrown talent. You still have Kenny Omega. You still have the Young Bucks, especially Kenny Omega. I was surprised because one of my heavy criticism about Kenny Omega is the way he do promos. He do it like an 80s wrestler. But earlier this week, or earlier the show, he did well. His promo was spot on. Of course, he has. That's my son. Of course, he has like this stitch of so now I bid you adieu, good night, bang, and or so good evening, good night, bang. So that's it. But the thing is, he did a decent promo. He did a promo that's a normal guy, which is a great thing. Kenny Omega can be that guy. He can still go. I haven't seen his full match against Gabe Kidd at Wrestle Kingdom, but I'll try to watch it maybe this weekend or so. I believe it's a great match, even and seeing for especially here from coming from diverticulitis. Build Kenny Omega again. Kenny Omega can lead your company. Uh, I still believe in the potential of AEW to be a decent competitor against WWE. They have a lot of promise. Heck, in 2001, 2002, they signed over 30 wrestlers that are former WWE talents. They weren't able to maximize that. And now people are even saying that they want to leave the company. Ricky Starks, Britt Baker, Alistair Malachi Black already left, I believe. So what gives? And back then in 2019, 2020, 2021, people from WWE wants to leave WWE and wants to work for AEW. Some did, but where are they now? How are they being produced? Or how are they being promoted? I still believe in the potential of AEW. And here, I don't know. Hopefully next week. But next week, since it will be NXT versus AEW, I believe in Tuesday, I'll be choosing NXT still because yeah, it's something that I want to watch. But yeah, that's it for my open mind. Like I said, I still believe in AEW that they can do better, just as I believe in TNA that they can do better, and among with other any wrestling companies. So yeah, that's it. So this is my first full ever non-bashing. It wasn't a bash. It's even more of a suggestion about AEW. Uh, I'm just one guy, but most of the same mindset that I have the same mindset of suggestion to the AEW, or there are even better suggestions. But yeah, I hope that AEW can be better as well. So thank you guys for listening, watching, viewing the podcast, Riptor Podcast with me, Coach 23, where we talk about pro wrestling, pop culture, and life in general. And this is the first ever elitist show. That's what I'm going to call it right now, the elitist show. Um, but yeah, thank you guys for watching and viewing. Subscribe, like my, if you have comments, suggestion, leave it in the comment section. I'll leave it open. And yeah, thank you guys for watching. See you guys soon.